Okay, well, we're back again. Like I said, I'm going to try and do more of these sooner and quicker, which I'm obviously get to do. I'm doing this two in one day, maybe even a third today. I'm not sure, but we're going to do chapters 26 and 27 this time. So hopefully you can read it, or maybe you've already had reading it. If you know, obviously what I'm doing next, and like I said, I am going to do a topical thing. Some people have asked me in the past to explain how or when Satan fell from heaven, and I am going to do that soon as well. In fact, I'm very much interested in explaining how, at least my interpretation, or how I believe Satan fell from heaven, and it may be a little longer video, but I'm excited to do it. I did also start Revelation 10 months ago and never got into it again, but I do intend to do some of that as well. So we'll see how much I can do in the time that I have. So, like I said, this is going to be chapter 26 and 27. So pause and then read it and then get back into it. All right, so here we go. So in chapter 26, basically, there's a famine that begins in the land. Again, Abraham is dead, has passed away. Isaac is now, he's like the leader of Abraham's descendants, and he's married this woman named Rebecca, and she had two boys, Jacob and Ishmael, Jacob and Esau. Sorry, names can get confusing after a while, but Isaac had two boys, Jacob and Esau, and we already heard from last week that Jacob had tricked Esau out of the birthright, which basically means his inheritance. Okay, so then we get to this land in chapter 26 where there's supreme, I don't know what the word is, but famine in the land, supreme, sorry, I'm not thinking of the word, but there's a huge famine in the land, and so Isaac talks to the king of Gur. His name is Amalek, and Amalek, if you remember back when we did this, he actually had sworn an oath to Abraham, and so he fulfilled his oath with Abraham by telling Isaac that he can live in the land in Egypt and thrive there, and eat and drink, and if you know the story as we lead into Exodus, which is long 24 chapters away, but this is what leads them into the bondage in Egypt. So they end up in Egypt, and but as he's there, Isaac's there, he keeps digging these wells, and people keep claiming him for themselves, and every time he digs a well, he finds water in it. And finally, near the end of the chapter, he digs a well, and nobody claims it, and so it becomes his well, and he begins to build his life there with his children, and God blesses him, and he becomes very wealthy, and so he's just really thrives there, and that's basically what happens in chapter 26. In chapter 27, so like I said before, Jacob stole Esau's birthright. Now in chapter 7, he steals Jacob's blessing. Now I'll explain the difference after I explain what happened. So Esau is now old. I'm sorry, back up. Isaac is now old, and he can't see very well, and now he's ready to give his blessing, which he technically only has one blessing he can give to one of his two boys. And he calls his son Esau in, who again, he was a hunter. He made a lot of, he would kill an animal and prepare a meal, and his father Isaac loved it. So he said, "Hey, go out, kill something, prepare the meal for me the way I like it, then we'll eat together, and then once I'm done eating, I will bless you, and you will receive my blessing." Again, I'll explain what the blessing is in a minute. So Esau goes out, and while Rebecca overhears her husband speaking about it, she again loves, if you remember from last time, she loves Jacob and not Esau, but Isaac loved Esau and not Jacob. So there's all this conflict. So she calls Jacob and said, "Go out and get 2 goats, and I will prepare them for you the way your father likes them." and then then Isaac will give you the blessing instead of your brother. Well, Isaac's like, what, Esau's a hairy man, I am not. He's going to know. And so Rebecca put some skins on his arms to make him look hairy or feel hairy. And she had him wear some of Esau's clothing so that when Isaac smelled it, he would smell like Esau. And so Rebecca prepares the meal. He brings the food in. He has a conversation with his father. His father's like, you have the voice of Jacob, but you smell like Esau, and you feel like Esau, so you must be Esau. So he eats the meal and blesses blesses Jacob. He blesses Jacob. And then a little while later, Esau comes in with the food that he prepared, and Isaac's like, what's happened here? You already came in or whatever. And he's like, I never came in. And he realized that his son had tricked him into getting the blessing, and there was no blessing left for Esau. So then Rachel hears about that. I mean, Rebecca hears about that. There is a Rachel coming up. That's why I said that. Well, that's not why I said it, but that's why I slipped. Rebecca hears that Esau is going to kill Jacob. That's his plan. As soon as Isaac dies, he's going to kill Jacob. So Rebecca sends Jacob away. Says, go away for a while and until your brother cools down, and then you can come back and have the blessing and the birthright. So that's basically what happens through chapter 27. These chapters are really long as I've been remembering to read them. But so in order to finish this, I just want to say what the difference between the blessing and the birthright is. So basically, in the Jewish culture, you would have a blessing and a birthright. So basically, the birthright, which I've already explained, is basically your inheritance. And whoever the oldest son is would get everything. So it's not like in our modern day, when your parents die and you have 5 siblings or whatever, typically they divide the inheritance amongst all the siblings, sometimes even the grandkids. But in that culture, only the firstborn male would get everything. Everybody else would have to serve him, unless the firstborn was to die before he had a wife and offspring. Then the next one would become king, which you will see that in Kings. And there's a king in Kings that his 3 sons and grandson become king in I believe it's the southern kingdoms, which we don't talk about that now. We'll get into that later. I can't remember all their names. It's Jehoiakim and Jehoiachin. I forget all their names, but something like that. When we get to there, if we ever get to there, we can talk about that. So that's the birthright. But then the blessing is basically a blessing from God that everything he will do, he will have great success. So he'll get his lifestyle will continue to grow. He'll have plenty of crops. He'll have good soil. He'll have plenty of water. So God will bless him so that he can lead his people and have thriving people. And when they say he's rich, the richness doesn't necessarily mean like money. It means like he had a lot of calves and a lot of animals and a lot of livestock and a lot of other things. So that basically takes us through chapters 26 through 27. If you have any questions about any of this or any of the ones I just mentioned, please feel free to contact me, and hopefully I will be continuing to do this as time goes on. Thank you, and God bless you.